President Trump. We, the people, elected President Trump in 2016. And it is his constitutional duty to nominate. And now, just because he's following the Constitution, the Democrat Party is telling you, you need to be radicalized.
And welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, it's live radio. What can I say? Look, the way to look at this is you were just treated to an extra hour of On Point with Victor if you were just tuned in. But right now, we are live, and it's live radio. So, look, folks, we got a lot to get to today. This is On Point with Victor. I am Victor Armendariz, and you're listening to America's Web Radio. Look, get your popcorn, get your drinks, get your set up your DVR because you may want to watch it twice. There is a debate. Well, there is a debate scheduled for tonight. I am still not so sure that Biden is going to show up for this debate. Look, folks, do not be surprised if they figure out a way in the last hour this afternoon to say that they're not coming, and they'll come up with some ridiculous excuse. But I think they're looking for ways out. Look, I'll give you some examples of why I'm thinking this. A few days ago, I believe 3 or so days ago, the Biden campaign agreed to undergo ear checks. And what they mean by that, and why the Trump campaign asked for this, or I'm not even sure if it was a Trump campaign that asked for it. It could have been Chris Wallace. But when you have a debate, it has been known in the past that certain people in debates will have a little earpiece on so they can be coached. They can have people behind the scenes talking to them, trying to help them come up with an answer during the debate. And that should not be allowed, especially in a presidential debate. So it was requested that both sides submit to an ear check before the debate. Well, Trump, of course, agreed to it. And Biden 3 days ago agreed to it. But today, the news out of the campaign is they are not going to submit Biden. They will not allow an ear check. So you got to ask yourself, okay, why are they putting that out now? Why would they change their mind? Why 3 days ago did they say, yes, we'll submit to an ear check? And then today, the day of the debate, they're saying, no, we're not going to do that. We're reneging. So that's clue number one for me. The next clue is the Biden camp is denying this, but folks, you know this is true. The Biden campaign came out and requested 2 30-minute breaks. The debate is an hour and a half, 90 minutes. Now, if you can't stand for a 90-minute debate, you damn sure can't stand and debate or face adversaries as the leader of the free world. And dutifully and rightfully, the Trump administration said, no, we're not going to agree to that. You cannot have 2 breaks during a 90-minute debate. And I'm so glad. And President Trump basically said, look, Vice President Biden, if you can't stand and face me for 90 minutes, then you can't be the president of the United States. You can't lead the greatest country in the world. You can't stand at the likes of Kim Jong-un or Putin or anyone in the Middle East or any other leader. You can't stand toe-to-toe if you can't stand for a 90-minute debate without 2, not 1, but 2 breaks. So I'm glad the Trump administration said no to that. So good. That's clue number 2. The other clue to me is, once again today, the Biden has shut down their campaign at 9 o'clock in the morning, either 9:30. But they shut down the campaign again. They have been doing this, folks, for the past 11 or 12, 13 days. They shut down the campaign between 9 and 10 a.m. in the morning. That is ridiculous and unheard of, ladies and gentlemen. Why do you think that campaign's got to be shut down that early in the morning? Well, I'll tell you why. Luckily, you're tuned in to On Point with Victor. They've got Biden right now between his naps. They'll wake him up and they'll start drilling him to memorize a few lines for tonight. They know what the topic's going to be. So they've got a few lines for him to memorize. So they're pumping him up, trying to get him to memorize a few one-liners and some typical talking point responses. And then they've got a few attack points that they want him to get out. And they're trying to get him to memorize that. Then he goes and takes another nap. That's what his day is going to be today. And then an hour or two before the debate, if he's going to go, they're going to pump Biden up with with every known and unknown ADD medication, you just name Adderall maybe, they are going to pump him with medication. They're probably going to give him medication that you and I can't even get yet. That's probably only available to the elitist of the elite, which is the political elite. But they're going to shoot him up with some drugs, mostly ADD medicine would be my guess, to keep him coherent, to keep him awake, and to keep him in a state of consciousness, so to speak, or just in a state of coherence. And they want him, they're going to pump him up so that he can last 90 minutes because, look, if Biden shows up and he can stand there for 90 minutes and he can get out his talking points and he can get out his attack points and he can hide behind Chris Wallace and he can try and ignore Trump, then they're going to proclaim him the winner. They're going to proclaim him the best debater in American history, if not the world. That's what they're going to try to do. They're going to try to do that. Look, folks, make no mistake. President Trump is not really debating Biden tonight. He is debating Chris Wallace. Chris Wallace is a never-Trumper. Chris Wallace is, maybe he's not a never-Trumper, but he's not a to the right. He's always been to the left. Chris Wallace is a Democrat. And Chris Wallace is going to stand up and carry the water for Biden. Mark my words. Chris Wallace will come to the defense of Biden. Chris Wallace will push a little bit, but he'll let Biden get away with non-answers. That's going to be what Wallace is going to do. And then Wallace is going to pounce all over Trump. He's not going to let Trump loose. He's going to try to get under Trump's skin. Wallace is going to try. And look, Wallace knows the issues. Wallace, whether he uses truths or not, in fact, come on, let's face it, Wallace is going to use whatever's in the headline. He won't verify it. He won't tell the truth. He'll just use the headline, and he'll go after Trump. He'll try this bogus tax thing, which I'm going to get into in a few. He's going to try these angles, and he's going to try to get under Trump's skin. So if President Trump, if anybody with his team is listening to me now, the only thing President Trump needs to do is to stand there and defend his record, because Trump's got a tremendous record to defend. And all Trump has to do is say, look, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, and just check off the list. And whenever Wallace starts to give one of these fake narratives and to push Trump on a fake story, Trump needs to just come out calmly and say, look, you know what, Chris, I appreciate the question, but I don't appreciate what you're doing, because these are false narratives, and I'm not going to give credence to these narratives. And then Trump go on with defending his record, talk about the tax cuts, talk about the regulation cuts, talk about the lowest unemployment rates ever for black people, talk about the lowest unemployment rates ever for the Hispanic people. In general, the minority unemployment under Donald J. Trump is the lowest it's been in history. It's record after record after record. Talk about the median income for black families, Hispanic families, white families, Asian families, all across. For the American family, in the past 3.5 years, the median income for those people, all the American people workers, is up $6,000. That's a record, folks. Okay? That's real money in pockets. That's real money that is going into black families' pockets, Hispanics' families, Asian family, white family, whatever you are, doesn't matter. It's going into the American workers' pockets. And that is real, because when you can earn a living, then you can take care of yourself. And when you can take care of yourself, you can take care of your family. And when you can take care of your family, you can take care of a friend. And when you can take care of your family and friends, then you can take care of everybody else, because you'll have money you can donate, or you have a charity you can help, or you'll have time to go volunteer. All of those things are made possible when we have a strong economy, when we have a strong leadership, when we have the biggest, baddest, strongest military on the planet, because nobody would mess with us. And for once, we have an actual president who's kept us out of endless wars. We have a president right now who hasn't taken us into any combat. He's taking troops out of combat zones. And you would think that the Democrats would love it, but they don't. Because look, folks, you've been lied to for year after year after year. The Democrats love endless wars just as much as a lot of the establishment Republicans do. Now, we can have that debate another time, but it's true. Just look at the history of the wars. Look at the history of the conflicts in this country. A majority of them, if not most of them, have been Democrats taking us into the wars and conflicts, so as well as establishment Republicans. there's establishment Republicans and establishment Democrats who love the war machine. So again, we can get into that another day, but let me get back to this whole debate debacle for tonight. If Biden shows up, just remember, just watch what Chris Wallace is going to do. He's going to try to protect him. Biden will try and stand there and make it and be coherent, and he'll be cogent, and he'll try and avoid Trump, and he'll say Trump's a meanie trying to attack me. And all Trump needs to do is in a very nice way, hey, look, Biden, do you or do you not agree with defunding police? And then Biden's going to give his memorized speech, and he's not going to answer the question. And then Trump needs to say, hey, you didn't answer the question. Do you explain to me yes or no on defunding police? And then when Biden gives this BS reimagining police business, and when he gives this BS about redistributing money, which he has said, look, ladies and gentlemen, the Democrats are all on board with defunding the police. They will call it reimagining policing. They will call it redistribution of funds. But it all means defunding the police. And Trump needs to hold Biden's feet to the fire on that, because Biden will not be able to answer that question, because Biden's not going to want to piss off Antifa. He's not going to want to piss off burn loot murders. He's not going to want to piss off the radical Bernie bros, the whole radical side of the Democrat Party. Biden has to be very careful and walk a line tonight and try not to piss them off. He's not going to be able to do that if Trump holds his feet to the fire. And all Trump's got to do is say, look, Vice President Biden, there will be no defunding whatsoever under my administration. If you're elected, are you going to defund? Are you backing a defund? And then Biden will give off some ridiculous answer about reimagining police and blah, blah, racism this, racism that. And Trump just needs to keep hitting him on, hey, you yourself said you would redistribute funds. Folks, if you redistribute funds, you're taking funds away from the police department. That's defunding the police. And that's what Trump has to do. Because look, with Biden being pumped up on ADD medication, and with Biden being in early stages of dementia, he's prone to anger. Folks, Joe Biden called a supporter of his a pig-faced pony liar. He also called us a Democrat a fatty. He is all over the place when he gets angry, when he's pushed. Joe Biden is the guy who looked at Black America and said, if you ain't voting for me, you ain't black. Joe Biden said that.
Forget what he called the Jews.
And he also, I can't even get into what he called the Jews, because, but you're right, David.
Call them termites.
Well, that was Hank. That was Hank Johnson.
Oh, Hank. Oh, I'm
yeah.
sorry.
But that's okay, because Hank Johnson's a Democrat, and not once did Joe Biden come out and repudiate what Hank said. And we all know what the Democrats feel. Look at what Joe Biden says about the peace. There's peace in the Middle East, but do you hear Joe Biden talking about peace in the Middle East?
You know,
Absolutely
I
not.
had said something last week about the fact, had Biden come out and congratulated Trump on gaining peace in the Middle East, that would have gotten him more play and coverage.
Without a doubt.
You know, would have helped him.
But that campaign can't play it that smart, because that would have given a win to Trump in their eyes, and that would have pissed off the base and the radical left. So he can't do that. So folks, just remember, Joe Biden is the guy that said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. That's what he told Black America. And he basically told the Hispanics, you ain't Hispanic if you ain't voting for him. I mean, it's insane. But look, we're going to have to take a break. We're going to go to this break. When we come back, I'm going to get into a little bit more about what to expect from this debate. And then I want to get into a little bit about the taxes, because I'm going to set this record straight. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, I am Roger B., host of the Locked and Loaded Show on America's Web Radio. Be sure to join us live every Tuesday at 1500 hours for the latest in gun news, gun products, gun politics, and other gun-related stuff. That's Tuesday, 1500 hours, America's Web Radio.
If you live to serve and want to make an even bigger difference, consider joining the U.S. Army. With training in fields like medical care, linguistics, and engineering, an Army career can amplify your efforts with humanitarian opportunities all over the world. Plus, you'll receive competitive pay and incredible benefits, so you'll be taken care of, too. Learn more at GoArmy.com.
You're listening to America's Web Radio on the AmericasBroadcastNetwork.com. Thank you for listening.
Hey, welcome back, folks. All right, folks. So look, don't be surprised if they figure out a way to back out of this debate tonight, but hopefully he will show up. And then I am telling you, take note of my predictions. Biden is going to be throwing out memorized lies to try to get under Trump's skin. Chris Wallace is going to carry the water for carry the water for Biden. They're going to do all kinds of things. Trump needs to also try and keep the discussion on the economy, because we have to rebuild this economy. And do you think a man who's been a politician for 47 years, you think a man who has never held a private sector job, never signed a paycheck for anyone, never created one job or one business, all he's done is have a life in politics, which means he's living off of your back, my back, the taxpayers' back. A guy like that, do you think he's going to rebuild this economy? Hell no, folks. All he's going to do is tell you a bunch of platitudes of things he thinks you want to hear, while at the same time he says he wants to get rid of fossil fuels. He wants to get rid of gasoline. There goes your economy, folks. He wants the Green New Deal. Regulation, high taxes, high taxes, high taxes. There is no way to dig out of this China virus economy downfall that we've had. There's no way to dig out of it with high taxes, high regulation, stupid, dumb green deals, trying to ban fossil fuels. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. But the guy who did build an amazing economy in 3 years, the guy who brought back manufacturing in 3 years, the guy who median income went up $6,000, that guy who's not a politician, that guy who's created thousands of jobs, that guy who's had to sign thousands and thousands of paychecks, that guy who many families depended on, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, you name it, all of these families, Middle Eastern, all these families, all these creeds have depended on paychecks from Donald Trump because of the businesses that he created. That's the guy who built an amazing economy. That's the guy who got his policy in the last 3.5 years, got us the lowest Hispanic unemployment, the lowest black unemployment. And folks, policy should be the only thing that matters. I don't care what you think about Orange Man bad. I don't care, because policy matters. And Biden is telling you he's going to raise your taxes. Look, every time the Democrats tell you that they're going to raise the taxes on that guy, they just want you to think and get you mad at somebody who's got more than you. But the actual people they're coming after is you. Everybody will pay. If you're working, you're going to pay taxes. And if you're working, Joe Biden is going to raise your taxes. It's just no two ways about it. And then with regulation, he's going to stifle business. He's going to stifle growth. We can't have that, ladies and gentlemen. We need good policy. We need economic policy. We need freedom policy. We need liberty policy. We need capitalistic policy. So, all right, now let me get into this big. Look, the media constantly, one of the tactics that the Democrats are using with their accomplices in the media are throwing out a new accusation against Trump every day, so you won't focus on the lack of coherence or the lack of a plan that the Biden has. If you focused on Biden, you would see all the shortcomings of Biden. But what they do is they throw out a new attack every day. They throw out a new accusation to try and keep you distracted. They want you following all these, Russia story, Stormy story, the Ukraine phone call story. Now it's the tax story again. Every day they throw out something so you won't pay attention that Biden is hiding in his basement. Biden can't campaign after 9 o'clock in the morning. Biden can't keep a 1 or 2 or 3 sentences in together, and neither can I apparently right now. So Biden can't go out and give a speech without a teleprompter. Biden can't and won't take questions from the media. The only questions he's taken from the media are scripted questions. He knows who to call on, and they know which question to ask, and Biden has his answer on the teleprompter, and he reads a freaking answer from a teleprompter. So see, ladies and gentlemen, if they weren't throwing you little nuggets to chase, little false stories to chase around accusing Trump of everything but being a child of God, then you might focus on Biden and see that he's hiding in his basement, and that he won't answer questions, and that he can't make a public appearance without a teleprompter. And then, folks, you might pay attention and watch and see the fact that there's boat rallies going on for Trump. There's biker rallies going on for Trump. There's my goodness, what am I missing? Truck rallies going on for Trump. I'm not talking about the rallies when he arrives in a city at an airport and there's 35,000 people there to see him. I'm talking about the impromptu truck rallies, the bike rallies, and the boat rallies that are going on. Folks, ask yourself, did you ever see an Obama boat rally? Did you see a Bush boat rally? Did you see a Clinton boat rally? Did you see a Carter boat rally? We've never seen these things that are going on right now. And I'm just telling you, they don't want you focusing on that. And that is why you're hearing all these ridiculous stories, including the one that we're hearing now, the tax thing. Ladies and gentlemen, this tax thing was put to rest in October of 2016. Trump actually said the same story. In 2016 in October, you can look it up. They came out, the same New York Times came out with the same tax story. He didn't pay taxes. And Trump came out in October of 2016 and said, yeah, you know what? I took deductions and I overpaid. I was due a refund. Therefore, because of that refund, I didn't have to pay taxes because it's basically a credit that I had with the IRS. That was put to rest. Well, now they're bringing it out to you again because they're hoping that you're a dumb and you don't remember anything, or that you won't take the time and look anything up yourself. So let me put this to rest. And I feel like I need to, we were going to go to the phones too because I'm going to have someone join me. Looks like I'm being told it's Larry the Cable Guy, but I have a feeling it's not. But let me get through this, and then we'll bring in our caller. But let me put this tax thing to rest, because it is an absolute lie. They're saying that Trump didn't pay taxes for I don't know how many years, and blah 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 blah. Well, let me tell you the truth. Donald J. Trump overpaid taxes, and at some point he was due a refund in the amount of $72 million. The IRS owed a refund to Trump for $72 million. This allowed him to not have to pay taxes because basically the IRS had $72 million of Donald Trump's. And let me put it to you this way. If let's say you owe your credit card $500 and you accidentally paid $5,000 to your credit card company. The credit card company is going to call you and go, hey, Mr. So-and-so, you overpaid us by $4,500. But instead of us issuing you a check, we're going to hold that as a credit. So you go ahead and go out and spend money, and every time you spend money, we're going to deduct it from the $4,500 that we owe you. That's basically what's going on. Folks, don't fall for this. Hello? It's about Trump paying taxes. Larry, hang on one second. Are you there, Larry? Hey, hang on one second, Larry. I'm going to bring you in just a second. But I want the listeners to understand that this whole business about saying that Trump doesn't pay taxes, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, the IRS is the most powerful agency in this country, and it's ridiculous that they're as powerful as they are. They're the only ones. The IRS are the only ones that can prosecute. And stand with me here. Stay with me here, folks. We're going to get this phone call here going. And then I'm going to get back to some of this, but we got a phone call coming in from Larry.
Everybody, wait.
And we'll get that in a second. So, but ladies and gentlemen, just listen to me when I'm telling you the IRS is the most powerful agency. And Larry, if you're there, just let me know. Larry, if you're there, let me know. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we have the most powerful agency, which is the IRS. They can prosecute. And if you think that the IRS didn't go after Trump, then you are absolutely kidding yourself. If Trump did anything wrong, they would go after him in a heartbeat. Okay, I think I hear Larry on there. Larry, talk to me. Larry from Tucker. Larry. Can you hear me, Larry? All right, folks, we'll fix this phone line in just a second. Don't you worry. All right, well, stand by. Larry might not be hearing us. There's an issue going on, but that's okay. That's okay. You know, it's live radio. Live radio. Things happen. So, for some reason, Larry's not hearing me, but hopefully he will hear us soon. So, Larry, if you're there, pick up your phone. So, all right, folks, I want to get back to this IRS business because if Trump did anything wrong, the IRS would be down his throat. I mean, folks, you couldn't eat a donut as fast as the IRS would have been down his throat and up his, you know what. So, let me get into a little bit more of what happened with this refund that Trump got. There was a land near Westchester, New York, and there was land in somewhere near L.A. And Trump bought this land with the intention of growing, with the intention of building houses and building homes. So he bought this, paid millions of dollars to have this land. And in this, once he got this land, the city council said, once he got to the point where he wanted to build, the Democrats and those city councils that make the zoning rules said that no, you can't build here. So now Trump has land near Westchester, New York, and he's got land near L.A. that he can't build on. So what does he do? He donates it to a green initiative, a green easement. He donates the property, and they turn it into green space. They turn it into parks for the people. So Trump was able to take a deduction loss on that because he bought the land with the intention to build. The city said, no, we're not allowing building. So he donated the land, and he donated the right to development. And they developed green space and parks. So therefore, because of that, he was able to deduct the cost. That's what created this refund that he got, and that's why he's basically got a credit with the IRS, and for lack of a better way to put it. That is the truth, folks. But you're not going to hear that from CNN. I bet you won't hear it from tonight from Chris Wallace. You damn sure won't hear it from Biden. But this is where Trump has to stand up and in a nice way just say, look, let me explain this to you. This is what happened. I bought some land. They wouldn't let me build on it. I donated it. Therefore, I was able to take a $119 million deduction, which led, that and coupled with some other deductions and losses, led to a $72 million refund. And Larry, again, if you can hear me, just pipe up. So again, you've got this, everything, here's another point, folks. Here's another point. Everything that Donald J. Trump did with the donation of the land, with the deductions and the losses, everything he did is because of the laws that Democrats put into place and with the help of some establishment Republicans. The president and the citizens cannot make tax law. Your tax law comes from your representatives. Your tax law comes from elected representatives like Biden, like Pelosi, like all these other morons that are up there, establishment Democrats and establishment Republicans. In fact, folks, in 2015, before 2015, ladies and gentlemen, you could only go back 2 years. If you wanted to deduct or declare a loss, you could only go back as a business, and I believe as individuals, you could only go back 2 years. Well, guess what, folks? That changed in 2015. And in fact, it went from 2 years to 7 years. This allowed President Trump, and at the time, Citizen Trump, this allowed him to go back 7 years instead of 2 years for those losses and deductions, and to carry it out this long. And who do you think, ladies and gentlemen, who passed that change? Who passed the change in the IRS and the tax law to go from 2 years to go over to be able to go back 2 years for deduction and to change it to go back 7 years? Who changed that? President Barack Hussein Obama. He is the one who changed that. So the only thing that Donald J. Trump and his businesses have done, and millions of millionaires and billionaires like him and millions of businesses like Donald Trump, the only thing they're guilty of are following the rules set forth by elected officials. Elected officials and representatives create the tax law. They write this craziness. So if you want to blame someone, then go blame the legislature. Go blame your representatives. Go blame the morons in Washington who create this convoluted tax system where somebody like Trump and business and other business people can go and hire the best accountants to use every loophole created by your politicians. That's what's happening, folks. Okay, remember, I'm not mad. I'm not angry. I'm just right. We're going to take a break here, and we're going to try and see if we can get Larry on the phone. So we'll be right back, folks. Don't go anywhere. This is America's Web Radio.
Perhaps you are struggling to cope with the disease of addiction. If not, you probably know a family member or friend that needs help in battling the cravings and the personal and professional damage done by the effects of drugs or alcohol. Get a pen and paper and be ready to write down the following. These are the issues that the trained staff at the Atlanta Healing Center address and treat every day. Their doctors and counselors with over 40 years of practice in the field of addiction can treat the suffering individual in a thoughtful, compassionate, and experienced manner and guide him or her along the path to recovery. So call 770-696-9862 and speak to a knowledgeable staff member about how you or your loved one can be helped to enjoy a better and healthier life. More information is also available on the website at www.atlantahealingcenter.com.
If you live to serve and want to make an even bigger difference, consider joining the U.S. Army. With training in fields like medical care, linguistics, and engineering, an Army career can amplify your efforts with humanitarian opportunities all over the world. Plus, you'll receive competitive pay and incredible benefits, so you'll be taken care of, too. Learn more at GoArmy.com.
You're listening to America's Web Radio on the AmericasBroadcastNetwork.com. Thank you for listening.
And welcome back, folks. All right, look, we're having fun in the studio today. We're going to try. We do have a caller from Tucker that we're going to try to get on, so stand by. We'll try and do that, folks. But listen, folks, I really want you to listen. I want you to just don't let your emotions get the best of you. Don't let a politician tell you that you should hate somebody. Don't let a politician run your life. Folks, a politician lives off your back. A politician taxes you so they can raise their salary. And I'm not saying that all politicians are bad, but most of the politicians, you've got to understand, they're not looking out for you and me. They just aren't. I believe it was Thomas Jefferson that said it best, one of our founding fathers, who said it best, that he said, at best, government is just a bad necessity. Now, I'm paraphrasing, and I think it was Jefferson, but it could have been one of the other founding fathers. Larry, you let me know when you're there. But it could have been one of the other founding fathers. I'm pretty sure it was Jefferson. But and I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said that government is evil, inherently evil, but it's a necessary evil. So when I tell you to don't let a politician, somebody that was elected by you and me, put in Washington, given a cushy life because of the taxpayer. Your sweat equity pays for these politicians to fly around the world, to eat at steak restaurants every night. Your tax dollars pay for this. So don't let that employee of yours, the politician, don't let them make you angry. Don't let them belittle you. Don't let them belittle your intelligence so much as to make you angry at somebody just because they told you to be angry at somebody. I'm serious, folks. This goes for Democrats and Republicans alike. You need to hold every politician's feet to the fire. And again, Larry, when you come in, just when you hear me, Larry, you let me know. And folks, just understand that politicians who try and get you to hate one man, there's a reason for that, folks. And I have told you this before. When you have all the Democrats in Washington who hate the president, and you have all the establishment Republicans who hate the president, they hate the guy that we, the people, put in office. If both sides don't like him, then you can rest assured that we picked the right guy. When the one guy who's never been a politician in his life, when we send a businessman who solves problems, when we send a guy to the presidency who has spent a lifetime of solving problems, not a lifetime of creating division through politics, but a lifetime of creating businesses, when we send that guy, Washington hates him. Folks, there's a reason for that. Larry, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me all right?
All right. We've got Larry from Tucker. Larry.
Okay, I can barely hear you.
Okay, hopefully you're going to be able to hear us. Just turn your
What's
phone
that?
up as loud as you can. If you can turn your phone up as loud as you can, hopefully you can hear me. Just
Victor?
yeah, I'm here, Larry. So hopefully you can hear me.
Yeah, I can barely hear you. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's all right. Hopefully we'll do what we can to try and make it a little better there. But if you can hear me now, Larry, I've been talking about the tax issue with Trump and what a lie it is. What say you on this?
Victor, I got nothing.
All right, folks, we'll try to get this fixed, folks. We're having.
I'm sorry about this. Next week I'll be able to call in on a landline or actually be there. My daughter will be driving,
Okay.
so I won't have to worry about picking her up at school.
All right, folks, we're going to try and get Larry here.
So have a good show. I'll text you some stuff I found, and good luck.
All right, sounds good. That's good. That was Larry from Tucker, but that's okay, folks.
Bye.
We're gonna journey on here. We'll get that fixed for next time, maybe. That's the wonders of live radio, folks. It's live radio, but we're gonna go on without phone calls here. We don't need. That's the one thing about On Point with Victor. We don't need phone calls. So let me get back to this, folks. I just want you to understand. Really, 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 really think about it. Why on earth would you allow a politician, somebody who most of them who have never worked a day in their life other than in politics, why would you let them tell you that somebody else is racist? Why don't you see that for yourself? Why don't you investigate for yourself? Look, folks, I'm Hispanic. And they're doing to the Democrats and some establishment Republicans, but mostly Democrats, are trying to do to the Hispanic population what they've done to the black population. So if you're black and you're Hispanic, why on earth would you let a politician belittle your intelligence by telling you can't succeed in this country without government help? That's ridiculous, folks. If my father waited on the government to help him, he would have never achieved what he achieved. My father came here from a third world country. Couldn't speak the language. He couldn't speak English. He learned English. He went to school. He got educated. And he worked a job, 1 job, 2 jobs, 3 jobs at a time. And then he retired CFO of a company here in the United States of America. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a great country. And you should no way should you let a politician insult your intelligence, especially if you are a black person, if you're a Hispanic person, an Asian, if any kind of minority, women included, if you're any kind of minority, you should not let a politician insult your intelligence and tell you that you can't function without government. You can't live without government. You can't succeed without government. You can't educate your child without government. Folks, I really want you to think, I really, really, really want you to think about that. Because that's what's going on right now. A bunch of elected politicians and non-elected bureaucrats who are put in positions of power by elected officials. All these bureaucrats are put into power. And they don't give a rat's about you. They want you dependent on them. Because the only way they can derive power from you and we the people is by creating division with we the people and by getting enough of the population to think that they can't function without that bureaucrat in government or without that elected official being in government. Folks, it's awful. And we should never go down that road. That's what leads to socialism. That's what leads to communism. That's what leads to tyranny. If you give up your individuality, the minute you give your individuality, the minute you give your identity and your individuality to a politician is the minute you start giving in to socialism and Marxism and communism and tyranny. Because if you give a politician that kind of power, folks, a politician craves power. That's basically why people become politicians. Not all of them, understand, but a majority of them. Especially the Democrat Party of today. Look, folks, today's Democrat Party is not the party of yesterday. Today's Democrat Party is not the Kennedy Party. My gosh, they're not even the Bill Clinton Party. And Bill Clinton didn't do that great. But Bill Clinton wasn't even, his Democrat Party wasn't the party of today. So if you give your identity and you give your individuality to any politician, then you are going down that road of without even knowing it. You may stand here today and tell me, Victor, I don't believe in socialism. I don't believe in Marxism. I'm going to wave a flag, American flag, but I'm going to vote for Biden. Then you're voting for socialism because you're letting Biden is being controlled by AOC, Alexandria Cortez, and Bernie Sanders, and the hard left. The people who want to defund the police, Antifa, BLM. Folks, BLM is a Marxist institution. It's a Marxist political group. They don't care about black lives. They're a Marxist group. Look them up. I don't have to tell you this. They will tell you this themselves. The founders of BLM are all over the internet, all videos you can find. Maybe instead of using Google, use DuckDuckGo. Maybe do a search on YouTube, but you can find the videos of the founders of BLM owning up to being trained Marxist. You can look up the websites. You can read their websites yourself. You can look at the movement. It is a Marxist movement. So this is what I'm telling you about these movements and these politicians today, today's Democrats. They want power over you in every way. They want to control your health care. They want to control where you work. They want to control what you drive. They want to control how you fly. They want to control how you move around the country. They want to control everything about your life. They want to control what you eat. And this is not hyperbole, folks. I'm not making this up. Just do a search and listen to what the Democrats are telling you. Because a lot of times, if you look at their actions, you'll really see what they're about. Look at the things they vote for. Voting to defund the folks, the Minneapolis City Council voted to defund the police, and now they're coming out today going, oh, we made a mistake. We might have jumped the gun. We might have done something bad. It might have been a bad idea to defund the police. Those are Democrats, folks. The streets of Baltimore are riddled with trash and crime. Democrat run. Chicago. How many shootings happened in Chicago this weekend? Folks, the other day, a 5-year-old girl, 5 years old, was stabbed to death in Chicago. The streets of Chicago riddled with crime, riddled with gunfire, black on black crime, black on black shootings. You know how many black people died this weekend, including a 5-year-old child, in the streets of Chicago? Democrat-run city. New Orleans, Democrat-run city. Detroit, Democrat-run city. City after city after city that I can sit here and name and talk about crime. New York City, LA, San Francisco, they're all run by Democrats. There's no Donald Trump Republican over there. There's no establishment Republican. There's no Republican to be seen. They're Democrat-run cities. This defund the police movement, Democrat-run cities. Antifa, BLM, Biden voters. This is what today's Democrat Party is about, and this is what they are. And this is why I will tell you, if you're a Democrat of old, the Democrat Party has left you. You didn't necessarily leave the Democrat Party, it left you. So, folks, it's okay to vote for Trump. Look, I will tell you, and I've told you before, Donald Trump is not a Democrat, Donald Trump is not a Republican. There is a movement going on right now. You can call it a populist movement, you can call it a libertarian movement, but that is Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not an ideologue. Donald Trump is actually trying to solve problems. He's actually trying to create an economy that everyone can enjoy. Just look at what they're doing to his nominee to the Supreme Court, and I'm going to get to that in just a little bit. This is the tactics that the Democrat Party are using are Marxist tactics, socialist tactics, communist tactics. They want to shut down debate. They want to shut down speech. And again, folks, I'm not making this up, and I'm not angry. I'm just right. So, look, we're going to our next break. You stay tuned. We will be right back. This is the On Point with Victor show, America's Web Radio.
McAllister's Auto Transport is a privately held company celebrating our 75th anniversary this November, specializing in enclosed-only transportation to the OEM, personal, snowbird market, and our favorite market of all is the collector market. Give us a call at 800-748-3160, or you can reach us on the web at McAllisters.com. McCollisters.com, and that's McCollisters.com. Large enough to handle all of your transportation needs, small enough to provide you the old town, old school service that you come to expect when you're moving your business.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, I am Roger B., host of the Locked and Loaded Show on America's Web Radio. Be sure to join us live every Tuesday at 1500 hours for the latest in gun news, gun products, gun politics, and other gun-related stuff. That's Tuesday, 1500 hours, America's Web Radio.
If you live to serve and want to make an even bigger difference, consider joining the U.S. Army. With training in fields like medical care, linguistics, and engineering, an Army career can amplify your efforts with humanitarian opportunities all over the world. Plus, you'll receive competitive pay and incredible benefits, so you'll be taken care of, too. Learn more at GoArmy.com.
You're listening to America's Web Radio on the AmericasBroadcastNetwork.com. Thank you for listening.
All right, folks, we are back. We're back. Look, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a good time. We're going to have a good time tonight. And I just, look, life is hard. And to let a political party or a politician make it harder for you and you allow that, you're just making your life harder. The politician's life is never going to be hard. Your life can be hard. Life on a regular basis is hard for most of us. A politician will never have a hard life. Look, we just went through a pandemic, and you may have lost your job or you may have been furloughed. The politician didn't lose their job. A bureaucrat didn't lose their job. No one in government lost their job. So when government is telling you that you need to be mad at some guy or you should be mad at this outsider, why on earth would you give the politician that kind of power? Because that politician is telling you to wear a mask, but they're not wearing a mask. That politician is telling you to stay at home, they're not staying at home. That politician is telling you, you can't go on the lake because Wuhan COVID-19 might attack you. But that politician, they're on the lake with their loved ones. That politician would tell you you can't go to the beach. That politician is on the beach. That politician, don't pull your hair out. No, I'm getting right. So it's funny, folks. I'm getting a message here from Legendary Dave, and I'm just guessing. We're playing charades here, but Legendary Dave pointed out. Look at Pelosi. Pelosi, you can't go get your hair done, but Pelosi can. You can't do anything without a mask, but Pelosi can. So my point here, ladies and gentlemen, please. Don't make life harder than it has to be. If you're spending energy getting angry because a politician is telling you to be angry, then you're doing yourself a disservice. You really are. Folks, the last 3.5 years have been some of the most prosperous times of the United States. We had the manufacturing coming back in droves. We're energy independent. The United States, for the first time in I don't know how long, is energy independent, which means we don't have to fight endless wars in the Middle East because we're not dependent on them for oil or energy. We have our own natural gas. We have our own nuclear capabilities. We have our own oil. We're energy. That happened under Donald Trump, folks. It didn't happen under Biden. It didn't happen under Obama. It didn't happen under Bush. It didn't happen under Clinton. It happened under a businessman named Donald J. Trump. If you can't find good in that, your life, if you want to produce more, if you want to make a better life for yourself, you're going to need an economy that has opportunity in it. And I don't care what color you are. If my dad can come here, if he can come here from a third world country and learn the language and still succeed and retire CFO of a company here in the United States, then if you're born here, you for damn sure can do it. I don't care what color your skin is. It really, truly doesn't matter. Because in this country, there is no such thing as systemic racism, folks, and maybe I'll do a show on it later. But if there was systemic racism in here, then the very meaning of systemic racism means a system that is racist. Who controls the system, folks? Democrats and Republicans. Establishment career politicians, namely the Democrats, who control all of these cities, minority cities. So if there's systemic racism in Cleveland, if there's systemic racism in Chicago, if there's systemic racism in LA, San Francisco, Baltimore, New Orleans, Detroit, City of Atlanta, if there is systemic racism, who did it, folks? Because every city I just named is run by Democrats, not one Republican, all Democrats. So who created that systemic? If you believe police departments in Portland, in City of Atlanta, in Baltimore, in Chicago, in LA, in San Francisco, if you think those police departments are systemically racist, where do they get their orders from, folks? They get them from the Democrat mayors and the Democrat governors and the Democrat city councils, because every city I just mentioned is run by Democrats and has been run by Democrats for decades. There's no Republican in sight. You can't blame a president who can't control local politics, folks. You can't blame him. You can't blame the guy who's been in Washington for 3.5 years only, and not blame the guy running as the head of the Democrat Party who's been in politics for 47 years. 47 years. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have been in politics for decades. Joe Biden, who is going to tell you tonight that he can solve every problem you have, couldn't do it in 47 years, but now you're supposed to believe, I'm supposed to believe that he can do it now. But yet, I have 3.5 years of history, 3.5 years of President Donald J. Trump, who had the lowest black unemployment, the lowest Hispanic unemployment, the lowest woman unemployment, the most Americans working in the labor force in history, the most people coming off welfare, the most people coming off disability, all happened under Donald J. Trump in 3.5 years. Manufacturing. Folks, it wasn't that long ago. There was a president named President Obama and a vice president named Joe Biden who stood in front of the American people and said, there's no manufacturing jobs coming back. These jobs are gone. It's time for you to become a programmer. You get into computers. This is a new economy. The manufacturing's done. And that person also looked at you and said, what's Donald Trump going to do? Wave a magic wand? Well, you know what? I don't know where Donald Trump got his wand, but he must have waved it somewhere, because in 3.5 years, we've had more manufacturing coming back to the United States than I don't know when. Probably since one of the world wars. But because of the regulation drop, because of the tax drop, because of the corporate tax reduction, money flowed back into this country and businesses started building factories here and manufacturers coming back. That's the truth, folks. That's the truth. So don't tell me that just because I'm brown, I should vote for a 47-year-long career politician who did nothing to solve any problems. All he did was create division. All he did was tell me I should hate white people because I'm brown and they're mean. And if you're black, you should hate white people too because they're white and they're mean. Folks, that's what that's what Joe Biden's been doing for years. He hasn't done anything. But yet the one guy who's never been a politician in his life gets elected to the presidency after running businesses, and then he runs the country and he starts making really, really good solving problems. He comes up with policy to solve problems. And then we get one of the best economies we've ever had, a fastest growing economy we've ever had, the lowest unemployment we've ever had, the most manufacturing we've had in years. All of that is happening under Donald J. Trump. So, folks, again, don't let these politicians, these career politicians who have gotten rich off of you, ladies and gentlemen, they have tried for 4 years to tell you and me that Donald Trump is beholden to Russia because Russia propped him up. Well, look, his taxes were just leaked. And I already told you the truth about his taxes. Well, nowhere in those taxes did it say Russia gave him money. But you know who did get money from the Russians? You know who got money from the Chinese? You know who got money from the Ukraine? The Biden family. Hunter Biden got millions, if not billions of dollars from China and the Ukraine. And you think that money didn't funnel through Joe Biden himself? Where do you think he got his money from, folks? Joe Biden doesn't live in a small house. Joe Biden doesn't live in the projects. Joe Biden doesn't live in the suburb that he's telling you that you need to live next to Section 8 housing. No, sir. No, ma'am. Joe Biden lives with the elitist of the elitist. Joe Biden lives in a really nice mansion. Joe Biden has more than one mansion. Bernie Sanders has more than one mansion. Now, they've been politicians all of their life. All of their lives. Where did they get the millions of dollars? Where? They didn't earn it. They didn't create a business. They got it from the backs of the taxpayer. And they got it from these deals that they made with these countries like Joe Biden did. Folks, they tried to lie for you for months and tell you that Donald Trump did a quid pro quo with the Ukraine. There was no evidence of it. We went through an impeachment, no evidence. But yet, Joe Biden is on video telling the president of the Ukraine, if you want that $1 billion, you will fire the prosecutor, and you will fire him by the time I leave. And by golly, they fired that prosecutor. And why? Why would an American vice president want to intervene into a country as small as the Ukraine and force that president to fire their prosecutor? Well, I'll tell you why, folks. Because that prosecutor was investigating Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's son. And they were investigating him. Why? Because he was getting paid millions by a company in Ukraine, paying Hunter Biden, who had no experience in that industry, but yet he was getting paid millions. So when they start to investigate fraud, and that prosecutor, here comes Vice President Joe Biden flying to the Ukraine and tells the president, you fired or you're not getting the bill. See, folks, Obama promised the Ukraine president billions of dollars in aid. And Vice President Biden flew over there and said, you ain't getting that billion unless you fire the prosecutor who's looking into my son. And they fired the prosecutor. That's your Joe Biden, folks. That's your Democrat Party. That's a politician. A politician who's never worked a day in their life in the private sector. A politician who's never earned or created a job. But instead, they worked off you, the backs of you, the taxpayer. Your sweat equity pays taxes. And those taxes go and pays representatives like and people like Biden, who made a career out of politics, who got paid by you, the taxpayer. And then they use their influence and their power to go secure piles of money from places like the Ukraine, from places like Russia, from places like China. I'm telling you, folks, the last thing you want right now is to allow a politician to tell you to hate the one guy who's not a politician. Take it from me. Take it from this Hispanic. Take it from this minority. I can proudly tell you and proudly say that today's Democrat Party is not the party of the Kennedys. It's just not. And folks, I don't know why you're hesitant you don't like the letter R. Now, I'm not telling you to go run in the arms of the letter R. The Republicans need to be held accountable just as much as the Democrats. But folks, the Republican Party has such a better history than the Democrat Party. The Republican Party was founded in the 1800s as the anti-slavery party. I know. You probably didn't know that because you're not taught that in school. But it's true, and you can look it up. The Republican Party has a good history, folks. And now it's time to flip this back. It's time for the working man and the minority to come back to the Republican Party. You know what? We can do this. All right, folks, we can hold them accountable. So, all right, that's all I got time for today. Stay tuned for Locked and Loaded with Roger B. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back next week. Hang tight, and Chester, wherever you are, good night.
If your health insurance